All right, good morning, folks. So today we're going to take a look at our first look at triangle basics. We're going to name some triangles. We're going to talk about, how many angles or how many degrees are inside of a triangle. We're going to talk about some exterior angles. Anyways, so first, when you're classifying triangles by side, there are three ways to do it. If all three sides congruent, then what you have is called an equilateral. Now, the thing about an equilateral is if all three sides are congruent, all three angles are also congruent. That's something that can be said. Here we have an isosceles. If two sides are congruent, it's called an isosceles. And if these two sides are congruent, then these two angles are congruent. These are called base angles. Interesting, these are called the legs, and these are called the base angles. And then finally over here, and a lot of people will say one side is congruent, but because it goes three sides congruent, two sides congruent, actually this would be no sides are congruent. Then you have what is known as scalene. And not only are all the sides different lengths, but all the angles would have to be different sizes as well. So we could mark that by doing this, this, and this. Okay, scalene is that one. Sorry, I kind of cut off the E right there. S-C-A-L-E-N-E. I want you to pay attention to the number of dashes. Which one of these sides is the longest? Truly, we really can't say. I know it looks like this one, and I bet if I got a ruler it would be. But based on the markings, we can't say. Just because this has two dashes and that has one dash does not mean this is longer. Okay, so we can't say that it is. Yeah, we could get a ruler and measure it, but I mean, we have to go by how it's marked, and according to this right now, there's no numbers on this, so we have to all we know is these three are different sizes. All right, coming down here to classifying by angles, there are three ways to do that. If it has a 90-degree angle, then it is a right triangle. If it has all angles, all less than 90 degrees, this is called an acute triangle. I should say one angle equals 90. And then on this one, if one angle is greater than 90, then it's known as an obtuse triangle. All right, there's not really a whole lot to be said about those. Please note that you can combine lots of these together. You can have a scalene obtuse, a scalene acute, a scalene right. You can have an isosceles obtuse, an isosceles acute, an isosceles right. However, equilateral. An equilateral triangle is always acute. It's always going to be here. All three of these angles are going to be less than 90. Okay? That is the only thing. So really there are only 7 different classifications. There's equilateral acute, isosceles right, isosceles acute, isosceles obtuse, scalene right, scalene acute, scalene obtuse. All right, coming down to the next one here, triangles, interior angles always equal 180 degrees. Okay, so what that lets us do on problems like these is it lets us set them up. So we could say something like, 52 plus 35 plus x equals 180. Okay, and just like before in the previous video, I'm not going to make y'all sit around and wait for me to solve this out unless you need me to. I'm just going to come down and tell you the answer. The answer is 93. Now, if you would like for me to solve this, you can go back and watch the next video. In the next video, I'll actually solve it for you. On this one, it would be 32 plus 57 plus x equals 180. these are all going to equal 180. So none of this equaling each other stuff. If you're adding up all the angles on the inside, x is going to always, all the angles are going to always equal 180. All right, x on that one is 91. This one we would have 40 plus 25 plus x equals 180. And x in that case would be 115. And on this one we would have 30 plus x equals 180. And x in that case would be 75. On the back, mine was cut off, so I had to hand draw mine back on there, but I made sure it was on there for y'all's copies. For this one, it's going to be x plus 2x plus 21 plus 90 equals 180. Hope that's not too confusing for folks. But in that case, x would be 23. So you just take all the things inside, add them all up, x, 2x plus 21, and 90 is going to equal 180. Just like here, this angle, and this angle, and this angle, I'm going to add them all up, and they're going to equal 180. Okay? And so I'm going to have, let's see, x is going to be 40 in that case. I should come down here and write that. X is going to be 40. All right, so when we're dealing with exterior angles, a triangle's exterior angles equals the sum of the two interior non-adjacent, okay, angles. So this is the interior adjacent angle. All right, this is the interior adjacent angle. These are the two interior non-adjacent angles. So if we add these together, it equals that. It's this weird situation having to do with the fact that this makes a linear pair and all this. Anyways, just know it's going to be 40 plus x equals 155. And that would be, x would be 115 in that case. This one, it would be 42 plus x equals 100. X would be 58 in that case. Down here we have x plus 80 equals 3x minus 22. And in that case, x would be 51. I just did that in my head. I am hoping that is correct. See, just checking myself. Yep. And finally over here we would have 2x plus 103 minus x equals 6x minus 7. Whew, that's complicated. So that would end up being, excuse me for 1 second, 22. Yep, that works. So if you need to watch the video about how I got those answers, please do. But if you don't, then you are done for the day and you're ready to do the work come Monday. Have a good weekend.